I just felt, the emptiness is the only way I can describe it. I just felt so like broken. And these people found me in the snow, negative 17-degree weather, and they took me home.
That's the
That
moment.
was my last night of drinking. And
oh, shucks.
And they were like, this girl is passed out in the snow.
Who knows what happened, but you would have died.
No, totally.
Right, you passed out in the snow.
In the snow.
But you didn't go to a hospital, you weren't hypothermic but you just
Apparently not. I mean,
woke up. So what do you remember when you woke up?
I woke up in this random house. There was a girl sitting on the couch, and she was like, and I was crying, because of course I'm like, I have no idea what happened. What time is it? Where am I? Where's my stuff? I had nothing. And she was like, don't worry, sweetie, I wake up in random houses all the time. And I was like, I don't know what happened. And like, I just in that moment was like, oh my God, I don't want to be the person that wakes up in random houses all the time.
Let's do it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Larry Burchett, a practicing ER doctor. And as you know, both inside and outside the hospital, life can change in a moment. Today, we are joined by guest Brittney Carbone. And she's got a couple of incredible moments to talk about. Number one is sobriety, the moment she stopped drinking alcohol. Number two, beginning of a 70-plus pound weight loss journey. So excited you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Always great to have you. Let's just dive right into these moments.
Yeah.
So yours is kind of interesting because you had a moment to get sober, and that actually led into eating, and then you had another moment later. So start to me, what was going on before you were sober? How did you get into alcohol?
God, I was just thinking as you were saying that, I'm like, I feel like the eating happened, and then the drinking, and then the eating.
You ate first?
Yeah,
Like
I feel like when I was a kid, it started.
Tell your story,
Okay.
whatever.
From when I was a little kid, I was like the sugar fiend, which I think is kind of expected as a child, you know?
Yeah, my daughter's the same way.
Yeah, I was like into it. But I was also highly manipulative as a kid about sugar.
In what way? What did you do to...
If you just give me a little sugar, Grandma, like I could run real fast. My grandma used to love to tell that story all the time. Of like when we were walking home, I acted like I was so tired. And I was like, but if you just give me some candy, then I could run really fast.
Sugar drug-seeking behaviors
Totally.
as a child.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like too abnormal for children, though. I feel
Right.
like most of them do anything for sugar.
Well, and especially when you were a small kid, like I was pretty skinny as a child.
Yeah.
And so when it doesn't show up on the outside, on your outward appearance,
Nobody
it's
says
like
anything.
not a big deal. You're just another, kid.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. But you think that was kind of addictive behavior with food even then?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah, I was definitely highly addicted to sugar as a child.
So you kind of had the sugar addiction, and then do you remember your first drink?
Yeah, I think it was the summer, it was either the summer before 7th or before 7th or 8th grade. I can't remember the exact details.
Wow. Junior high?
Junior high-ish. That was about the time where I did start to notice my body looked different than other people's.
In what way?
I was developing faster.
Oh.
And I was what I thought was bigger than the other girls.
Maybe it wasn't bigger, it was
When I look
puberty.
back at pictures, I was becoming a woman.
Okay.
And also, I had total.
Well, that's as I
body disorder.
smirk about it a little bit. But so that's really interesting. Did you feel different?
Oh yeah.
And how did that affect your behavior? Like, did that have something to do with why you were drinking or no?
Yeah, I think that I remember the first time I felt like quote unquote fat was when I was around the time I started drinking. That's when I started feeling like, oh, my body's a little bit bigger than other girls.
And really, you probably weren't fat.
No, I look back at
were-
pictures and I'm like a toothpick.
Wow.
But my brain had decided, and I don't know why, it wasn't, no one said that to me or there wasn't like a reason, but I had decided that about myself. And that's when I started getting uncomfortable with my skin. And also kind of at the same time noticing I was getting more attention from boys.
That was
there was just so much
So
going
that's
on.
another element that I wondered about. I was like, the first one is like the peer group. Well, maybe you felt different because you didn't look like everybody else
Yeah.
anymore. You just at your own time, we're starting to mature. And then did junior high boys play a role? How did that affect all of this?
High school boys played a role.
Oh, in the 7th grade Brittney.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was friends with all the freshmen in high school.
Oh,
And
you
so
were cool.
I was cool. That doesn't go with the best territory, but I was cool.
No, I bet you were cool. I remember those
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah. And then that's when, I felt just really out of place. And so then the first time we drank, I'll never forget it. It was called The Cave, and it was like so cool. And we all went down under this guy's house, and it was like this, I can just see it so perfectly in my head, but it's like this all dirt cave. And we all went under, and the bottle was being passed around, and I swear it's like out of a movie. Everyone's drinking, and I'm thinking in my head, like, if I don't drink, I'm not going to be cool.
Yeah.
But I knew I had soccer practice later. But I took a drink, and it was Goldschlager, and I will never forget that moment because it was the moment I felt like I have arrived. I am like so cool. And I'm in, and now I'm cool enough, and I'm like...
Wow, so that meant acceptance,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're in a tribe,
Yes.
and that's kind of the ritual of the tribe.
For sure.
Wow,
For
all
sure.
of that very
Super, I
grounded
remember...
in
like,
that. Okay, so
But yeah.
so you periodically drank. You told me you didn't drink every day. You would more binge.
Yes, I was like a high stress, and then on the weekends, it was like blackout. And then I would do something.
Blackout. You would drink so much that you passed out, and that was
Yes.
regular for you.
That was normal, 99% of the time.
This is in high school.
This is my entire drinking career.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad. But I didn't know because if you have alcoholism, like it's like once you take a drink, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's like you take a drink and you might intend on having a drink, but something happens in your brain where it's that I want more.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a stopping. I always overshot
You
the
lose
mark.
control.
Yeah. And I just wanted to fit in. Like I just wanted to feel a part of. So I was just doing what everyone else was doing, but I always overshot the mark. Like I couldn't stop that.
You know, it's
happening.
really interesting to hear you talk about anxiety, and what I see in the ER so frequently with alcoholics is they're self-medicating anxiety. That's
Yes.
like a primary thing, and alcohol will work to bring it actually works.
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't work, it works actually really well in the short term, and then there's all these other problems and consequences and so forth that come with it. But I remember one guy having an incredibly insightful thing. I asked him, I said, you know, why do you drink? Like, what does drinking do for you? And he goes, it makes me feel normal.
Yes.
So it's not like he was like, oh, I'm self-medicating anxiety. Like, people don't say that. Like, no, that's when I feel normal. And I was like, wow.
It feels like that's the only way I can describe it.
Relaxation. I mean,
It
that's
is
what you
like
just did.
I can breathe.
Yeah.
It just takes everything away. If I was to take a drink now, I think I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
But now it's 10 years later. But in the beginning, oh my gosh, like I just wanted that reprieve. It's really just a break from your own head.
Yeah.
Because it's just so loud, especially when you have this like
Yeah.
alcoholic thinking. You're just like, oh.
What would your head say?
Everything. You're not good enough. You're not worth it. Why
negative
would you even try to do?
self-talk.
Oh my God.
Break you down.
So bad. It was aggressive.
Where'd that come from? Where'd you get that?
I don't know if it was just like, because I actually grew up in like a very loving family. So I remember like when
not like somebody
No.
routinely spoke to you like that, was that voice, and
It was, you can do anything with your life. You can be the best you, like make sure, my family was like very deep rooted in values and showing up and being a powerful woman and like all of these things. So
who knows where?
I came, I mean, I just came out of like, woo, hello.
So get me to the moment. So I'm really curious, how did you get to a place where you identified that this binge drinking was a problem and you stopped it?
Oh gosh. So I went to, it was a repeated cycle. It was blackout or drink, blackout, fix it, whatever I did wrong, which was like either hurting someone's feelings or losing my stuff or
Consequences.
making out with so-and-so's boyfriend, whatever it was. Like just being,
the little things.
just the little casual
She
thing.
was a brat anyway.
No, but you know, whatever it was, just not being a person of integrity.
Things that would happen when you were drinking.
Yeah, and I
would
would literally have no recollection. Like nothing. Like people were like, oh yeah, you didn't like people didn't understand that like I actually blacked out because I could be here having this conversation and be completely gone.
Oh, so when you say blackout, you don't mean pass out.
I mean lights are out.
Amnesia.
No one is home. Wow. Absolutely, it was crazy. And that could happen with one drink, and that could happen with 20. No idea when it's gonna happen.
Wow.
It was just like I could be completely normal, and people would
out of control.
Yeah, it was crazy. So when I went to UCLA. When I was at UCLA, that my anxiety, the not good enough voice, got really loud. I had transferred there from a junior college, and I just thought everyone was smarter than me. What am I doing here? I don't belong here. Like the imposter syndrome times 4,000. I just felt so out of place, and that's when like the drinking got more.
And in college.
Shocking.
Yeah. So I mean, it's such a cultural norm. Easy to happen.
And then I started working in the action sports industry. Skate, surf, snowboard, motocross, BMX, traveling all over the country. If you didn't black out, it was not normal.
Oh, that was even worse than that. What did you do with those guys?
I was working events, so I would go and
work. Is this after college or during college?
During and after. So during and then into like right before I got sober.
So you worked those events and that. Okay, tell me a crazy story. What just came to your mind when you looked up there? I want to know that.
Honestly, I just think to myself, thank God for my friend Amy. She was like the non-drinker, and she was like my caretaker. She always made sure I got home. It was just like, thank God.
You're alive because of Amy.
I'm alive because of Amy. Straight up, I'm not kidding. Amy saved my life. Amy, I love you.
Amy the angel. Your angel.
She was, thank God for that girl.
So why did you stop? Why not keep doing this?
Well, I graduated college, and then I moved.
Did you live in Ohio or something?
No, I lived in LA.
Why do I feel like you were in Ohio traveling or something?
Oh, I was. That was.
Sorry, later in the story.
But I basically just woke up from like another blackout. After college, I had graduated a few months before, and I woke up from another blackout, and I just felt done. I woke up in a random person's house, actually.
Do you remember waking up and being like, was it one of these moments where you're like getting up in your own drool and you're like, this just has to stop? Or what was that? Do you remember that moment? Is this the moment?
Well, no, the moment, this is what happened. I was in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I had not drank for 30 days before, and I was very proud of that.
Intentionally.
I was starting to notice that this was not working for me anymore.
How so? How was it not working? And I'm thinking about people that hear this, like, how did you realize this?
It was like, oh my gosh, the reprieve that I would get from drinking was not outweighing the anxiety the next day. The deep, dark, painful feeling, even if I did nothing wrong, I felt like it makes me anxious thinking about it. Just so
you felt worse.
Way worse. Tenfold. Like it wasn't worth the momentary reprieve the night before.
Which makes sense because it's almost like a little micro alcohol withdrawal of the anxiety. It's like rebound anxiety. You take it, your anxiety goes down, and once the alcohol is out of your system, your anxiety is worse.
It literally makes my palms sweat thinking about it, and my palms don't normally sweat.
Even now, you can still remember this.
Because it was just so painful. Like I just felt, the emptiness is the only way I can describe it. I just felt so like broken.
Wow.
It was bad.
Tony Robb, the NLP stuff talks about doing things for positive reinforcement or negative. This was like wanting to avoid this negative. You didn't want the bad anymore.
No, I was done. And these people found me in the snow, negative 17-degree weather, and they took me home.
That
was my last night of drinking. And
shucks.
And they were like, this girl is passed out in the snow. I have no idea how I got there.
Wait
I don't remember.
So this was traveling with these people you were working with, snowboarders. This was you were in Colorado, and who knows what happened, but you would have died.
No, totally.
Right, you passed out in the snow. But you didn't go to a hospital. You weren't hypothermic but you just
apparently not.
Woke up. So what do you remember when you woke up?
I woke up in this random house, and I had
of kind strangers.
Luckily nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I vaguely remembered being in a shower, And then I remember like throwing up, and then that's all I remember, like bits and pieces kind of. And I woke up and I walked out, and for some reason, this was the moment when I was like, I cannot do this anymore. There was a girl sitting on the couch, and she was like, and I was crying because of course I'm like, I have no idea what happened. What time is it? Where am I? Where's my stuff? I had nothing. And she was like, don't worry, sweetie, I wake up in random houses all the time. And I was like, I don't know what happened in my, because it like, I just in that moment was like, oh my God, I don't want to be the person that wakes up in random houses all the time. Like, this is not.
That was the moment.
That was just the moment. And I didn't realize that that blacking out meant, I thought I had like an allergy, like you would have a peanut allergy.
Yeah.
So I Googled blacking out, and I thought, oh, they're going to tell me to like take Advil or, whatever.
You didn't think it was alcohol.
No. I thought that I had it like an allergy. Like I thought.
You ate peanuts and blacked out or something?
No. I didn't. I knew it wasn't like.
But it wasn't alcoholism. You just didn't think you had a problem with alcohol.
No, I thought that it was essentially the same thing as like, oh, if you have peanuts and you have a peanut allergy, you're gonna have to go to the hospital. You have to get an injection. I thought there was like an EpiPen for alcohol.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't black out.
I see. Some medicine you could give to treat your blackout symptoms.
Yes, because I didn't think that it could
understand.
possibly be that like I drink too much, and that's why.
Oh, I see.
And so I went. I got like support in an online group for a month.
Okay, so wait a minute. So the moment was when this other woman said, "Don't worry about it, sweetie. I wake up in other places all the time," or whatever.
Yes.
But something in you switched, like on an identity level, where you're like, "I don't want to be that. That's not me."
Yeah, and I think because I had tried to not drink too the month before, like I wasn't gonna drink anymore, and then I drank again. There was something about like, this is what happens every time I drink. Like I finally realized.
Oh, you
every
could
time
no longer deny.
Yeah, I couldn't deny that every time I drank, this like weird things happen, like magically, and life.
Oh my gosh, my allergy flared up. My past blacking out allergy flared up.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
Exactly.
Must have been gummy worms last night.
Totally. Well, and I had like in college, if we're being honest, I had like a calendar where I would document my blackouts. And so I would be like,
it's really peculiar.
I drank on Tuesday.
Because
and I had
you were
2
tracking
tacos.
them thinking that you had something that...
Yeah, I didn't think it was alcoholism. I thought like...
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah,
Isn't that incredible? It's part of the
denial.
disease.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
It's the only disease that tells you don't have a disease.
Wow, you thought you had an allergy. Gosh, so that's the moment. Mm-hmm. And since then, you haven't drank?
No.
Good for you.
10 years.
That's incredible. No offense. I would have thought, you said you tried it for 30 days, okay, and then like I think a lot of people would have had relapses, very common. What was it about this one that you were able to stick? Why did that one stick versus the previous 30-day?
I think I finally got honest about what was really going on, and like I found a mentor and I was working with her, and then I found the support group and I had other people. I kind of actually like finally heard people speak the same language, because when I would describe the feelings I was having to my friends, like the day after drinking, like the deep darkness, my friends didn't understand because they didn't have the same issue that I had. So when I went to a room of people who were saying like, yeah, I totally get that, or oh my God, I felt that same way, it just made me feel not alone, which is like the whole reason I drank.
That's
I
right.
just didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you felt like you were understood and known and not different.
Yeah. And nothing was wrong with me. I just have this thing
That's really interesting.
that I have to treat.
And the shame part of it, you
Yeah.
kind of let go of that a little bit. Wow. So in this period, so you got your moment, so afterwards you were sober. For you, it sounds like that was one of the biggest things, was feeling like you weren't alone, or feeling like there was anything wrong with you shame-wise, that you were having this experience. What were a couple of the key practices, things that you did that helped keep you sober? What were some of the most important things?
The biggest thing was just being honest and doing the spiritual work. And just being like, I'm like, how do I phrase this? Like, just sharing what was really going on. Because I think that with alcoholism, you think that you're so different that like you don't want to share because might occur as weird, or what you're thinking is so off what everyone else is thinking until you get into a room of people that understand you. So I think the biggest thing was staying in that support group and being honest.
Support group was big for you.
Huge. That was the biggest part for me. It still is. I still do that.
Did you do other things like change your friends, change your habits, like not go out and da-da-da-da?
No, actually, I went to, I'm like, no, I still went out because that was a big part for me. I was 22 when I got sober.
Yeah.
So when I first told my friends, they thought I was absolutely insane. They're like, you don't have a problem. But they were all drinking similar to I was drinking. So they were, they weren't about to say like, yeah, you have a problem.
They were really saying, I don't have a problem.
Right. And then I did have a core group of girlfriends who, they drink normally. I was always the one that was like the wild child. So those girls I'm still really close with. I kind of drifted and became different than some of the people.
That peer group, yeah.
Yeah. Just because the only thing, really, it's interesting when you take away the drinking, you find that you don't have that much in common with people you go out with. There's nothing really to talk about unless you're drinking. So they kind of just go away.
Yeah.
When you're not doing
the common bond is no longer there.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Yeah. But I still went out. I still went to like Vegas and still partied, but I just didn't drink.
Yeah.
And that was important to me because I didn't want my life to be over.
Yeah. So did your life get better after this?
Oh, yeah.
It did? How so?
Oh, my God. Well, it's really helpful when you don't black out.
All these things you did when you were...
You don't lose your wallet. You don't lose your purse. Oh God, you don't lose your dignity. There's like tons of benefits.
I can find ways to do that in other ways. Thank you.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Life got a lot simpler. However, I will say there was a period in the beginning of my sobriety, like that now I don't have the cure to my self-obsession, which is alcoholism or alcohol.
Say that again. You said now you don't have the cure to your self-obsession. I didn't understand that.
Okay, so...
The cure to your self-obsession.
Alcoholism is centered in your mind. Like it's like a disease of self-obsession.
Okay.
It's like all about me. What is everyone thinking about me? What am I doing? How do I look? It's all about me all the time.
Oh, and you were using that to cope with
Drink
that thing.
goes away. I don't care what anyone thinks about me.
I see.
It doesn't matter what my body looks like. Whatever it is, it goes away. So alcohol is, it's a cure for me.
I see.
Takes it away momentarily, and it comes back tenfold. But when you take the alcohol away, which is my solution to my problem,
I see. Now
I'm just stuck in this body.
So what was the problem?
The problem was me. And it's it was.
Well, I don't like saying it was you.
Well, my problem was my brain and because I was just so focused on me. But as you get sober and as you shift spiritually and do all the work, you get less self-obsessed.
Focused on these things.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how to really explain it.
Well, you said a couple profound things in there that I caught on to when you said you drink, and then it's like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care what my body looks like. And so a couple of things I was thinking of was, so you had some self-worth stuff that comparisons or what other people thought of you made you, you felt bad about that. And then I'm sure we'll get to more about how you felt about your body too.
A lot of it was centered in my body too. A lot of it was like...
I'm just like wondering how much of this comes back to you developing early.
A lot of it.
And being different from your peer group and receiving attention from men.
I think a lot of it.
For your body. And so then that became such a focus for you. You told me something that you would do with your cell phone after nights you blacked out. Will you say that?
Yeah, this wasn't, in college. This was like when iPhones were coming out. I'm so, by the way, just side note, so grateful. Social media wasn't a big thing when I was in college and when I was drinking. I am so grateful. God, I'm so grateful. But something we would do is I would always take pictures when I was drinking. And so we would just go through and we'd be like, delete, never happened.
Well, but you would see the next day, you
would
look at it and be like, what did I do last night?
Where was I? We went to that bar? What happened? What?
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Delete never happened.
That's crazy. So part of this audience is for men. Like part of what we're doing this for is that's kind of the target is men. And we were talking about how you were running with a male group a lot, with these snowboarders and this kind of thing, and there's a lot of kind of, I would say, bro alcohol drinking culture. I think of like a fraternity stuff,
For sure.
you know?
For sure.
I'm going to drink 10 beers, or I'm going to drink 12 and back and forth. But you said you kind of fit right in with that.
Well, I think that it's like no mistake that I ended up with that group.
Why?
Because it was just easier to justify drinking. You know, like it was the party atmosphere. So I don't think it was a mistake that I ended up in the action sports industry with the people I was running with.
And what attracted you to that was?
Well, it wasn't like I didn't think, oh, I want to go party and drink and that's why I want to do this.
Right.
But I think it's like your vibe attracts your tribe. You know,
Yeah.
that whole thing. It's like
Yeah.
I just ended up there. But
What were you seeking that drove you there?
I mean, I just loved action sports. So that's why I
The
wanted to be.
adrenaline and
Yeah.
the
and I
excitement
totally.
or-
Grew up in a surf town and,
Yeah.
you know, surf, skate, snow. That's how I grew up. So I wanted to be around that stuff. But I think it's just funny that, I don't know. I don't think I happened to end up there. I think that my alcoholism kind of guided me into that party industry.
So one other thing that played into, I want to kind of unpack this moment and really focus on some things that have helped keep you sober. 10 years is a long time, and it's great. Congratulations, by the way. You've had people close where you've seen the consequences, like what happens long term from alcoholism. How does that impact your ongoing sobriety?
Well, I think that it's like I know what it looks like. You know, I know what it looks like if you keep drinking. And
What does it look like?
unhappiness. Like I feel like there's no hope. Like alcoholism is progressive. So if I was to continue drinking, to continue drinking, I don't think that my blackouts would just be once in a random. I think they would be more frequent. And I don't want that life. I know what it looks like, and it doesn't look pretty or hopeful or promising. And I think that like I'm here to do more than that.
So that's interesting. So all of that other stuff until you said that was avoiding pain. You don't want this. Like I don't want all this potential negative stuff. And then you said I'm here to do more than that. Tell me about that a little bit. That's because that's different than avoiding pain.
Yeah.
Very different core motivation.
Yeah, well, alcohol. I mean, if you're drinking and you're always feeling down on yourself and bad, you're not really available to be of service to other people. You're not really available to be present with people. And I think that part of the reason like I had to go through all of that stuff is so I would do the work and then help guide other people through that.
That's awesome.
And so be able to work with people. But if I was drinking, like I coach women, I could never do what I do if I was drinking. I wouldn't be able to be present. It would be, again, all about me and not about anyone else.
You wouldn't be able to fulfill this mission
No.
that you have now.
Yeah.
So we could just end the interview here and be like, yay, you're sober, everything's peachy.
Yeah.
But what happened after you became sober? You found something else.
Yeah.
You filled the void with something else.
Yeah, it turns out when you get sober and again you take away the solution, something magical happens. You still have your feelings. And if you don't do the work on those feelings and you don't figure out what it is that's going on, what you're actually avoiding, the pain you're actually avoiding, you will find another way to numb out. So that can look like anything for people. So a lot of people will numb out with gambling or sex or focusing on other people too much or food, and that was my jam.
Or food. So you traded in alcohol for food. So
Yes.
what happened there? Like, what did that look like?
Oh, it was so embarrassing.
Is it?
Oh God, it is like I've shared the story so many times.
That's what I
like
was
the
going to say, but you've said it so much.
But it's just like,
It's still hard.
and it's not actually hard. I just like, I get these, I'm blessed with the ability to go right back to the moments for myself. And the reason I feel like I'm blessed for that is that it keeps me from doing it again because I remember the feeling.
Connected to
It was
that.
just,
You don't forget.
yeah, I don't forget. And I'm so super grateful for that. But,
So take me back to that moment, those moments. If you can, I don't want to
Oh,
traumatize you.
No, it's not. I'm just laughing because it's like, where do I begin?
Start with you. So tell me what life looked like after you were sober, and how you found your way to food as an answer.
When I got sober, I was like, I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to start working out. And so I did, like the first 6 months. And I wasn't like working with anyone. I wasn't getting help. I wasn't doing like the the spiritual side of it. So I was still miserable, but I was trying to
just
like
working on behaviors, you're exercising,
Yeah.
you're eating whatever diet is popular at the time.
right. And then,
Which is like a good intention at the time. Like, I want to get healthy. I want to try to, take care of myself.
exactly, which is great and like very nice. But if you don't do the internal work, the alcoholism will come out sideways even if you're not drinking. And what I mean by that again is like the gambling, sex, whatever, food, whatever it is to numb out.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a spiritual
You
problem.
still have the same stuff there.
It's still there. It doesn't
Yeah.
go away when you take the alcohol away. If anything, it gets exacerbated.
Because now you can feel it where you've been numbing it before and you've taken that tool away.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, what am I going to do with this?
So then I switched industries and I started working in corporate world.
Okay.
And I was traveling for work. And I was doing all these cell phone launches all over the country, and I had an expense account and hotel rooms, and I was the producer, so they always sent food to my room. And this is where things got so bad. It was like, oh my God, I just couldn't stop eating. I was just eating and eating. And like, the thing that's interesting is like alcoholism can seem kind of like rebellious and like sexy almost. It's almost like,
There's an archetype for it.
yeah. And it's way cooler on film, but there's nothing cute about binge eating in a hotel room.
You're right.
Like,
Culturally, that's not.
There is nothing cute
That's
about that.
a good point.
It's so much more socially acceptable to be a train wreck blackout drinker than it is to be a compulsive overeater.
Interesting.
And so here I found myself in a hotel room turning on the shower so that when the hotel room service would come, I could be like, babe, your food's here, because I would order a salad with chicken and then I would order what I really wanted. And the imaginary...
You would avoid a human interaction of the shame of getting a lot of food, or why was the shower on?
The shower was on because I didn't want them to know the food was for me.
Oh, like there was not 5 people in there.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I would turn the shower on and be like, babe, your food's here. No one's in the shower. It's just me.
You were hiding.
I was hiding. Yeah, I was hiding. And I used to do the same thing with birthday cakes. I would go to the grocery store and I would get someone's name on an actual birthday cake.
You would order a name.
And then...
Salad.
Sarah with an H.
That was your birthday
Sarah
girl?
with an H. P.S. This is also like, by the way, a really good example of how shameful I was.
How many cakes did you do this for?
I don't know, quite a few. But I would also buy a decoration, like something that would, because I thought everyone knew.
Why wouldn't you just buy a cake?
Right?
But this is the degree that you went to to hide this.
Yes. So I would buy like candles or be like, what flower do you think I should get on it? Like, I was just delusional. It's actually pretty funny now.
Well, it is, but I'm just like...
Yeah, it wasn't funny then.
Wow.
And then too, I would never eat in front of people. So we'd be out to dinner and I'd be like, yeah, I'll get like a lettuce and whatever. And then I'd go home and on the way home I'd stop at Del Taco or whatever it was. And...
hiding, just the secrecy.
So much hiding. But that's the thing is that food addiction and alcoholism, it wants you alone. And it wants you to feel alone, and it wants you to tell no one that you're suffering.
Right, because if somebody saw you doing that, they may try to stop.
Yeah. And also, too,
you
like...
feel bad.
Yeah, and I mean, it was just... I don't know. It's such like a shameful thing, and you think that you're going to start over the next day. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, tonight's the last night I'm ever going to binge. I'm never going to do this again. And it would be to the point where I'd be laying on the bed, just like, please don't throw up, because then that's bulimia. Like, please don't throw up. And I would just be like, just don't throw up, just don't throw up.
So you didn't throw up. You didn't have. Sometimes you did,
but it would literally be like a inability to stop it from happening because I'd eaten
you
so
didn't
much.
Induce vomiting.
There were times I would be downplaying it if I said that there weren't times that I did it.
But most of the time you overate. You didn't
Yeah.
binge and purge. You kind of binged.
Yes, most of the time. But there were times where I would.
So these are the behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on under the surface that you were doing this for? What were you medicating?
Anxiety.
Same thing.
Shit, it's so crazy. Yeah, I was so anxious and I felt so less than and so disconnected and so alone all the time. I just felt
Especially in
so
those
alone.
hotels.
Hotel rooms, and then like I was working on a team and because I was not I feel so bad. I should probably owe those people an amends. I was working on a team and I was not treating my alcoholism by doing the spiritual work at that time. And so it's manifesting and I'm hating myself more and more and I'm just an asshole. Like I'm not a nice person if I'm unmedicated, whether it's through spirituality or through food and alcohol. I'm not nice. Like I'm highly anxious, and when you're highly anxious, it comes out as anger.
Interesting.
And so I was just like, oh, all the time. And so then I'm on a team and no one likes me. And so now
Makes
I'm
it
more
worse.
alone. I'm just alone.
Cycle.
Such a bad cycle. That's why when people are like, oh, that person's so mean, I'm like, they are so much pain. That person is in so much pain. But people just don't realize, you know? And there's nothing you can do about it because you have to come about it on your own. Like you have to realize on your own. That's crazy.
So when's the moment?
Oh.
When did you get to the moment for your eating?
Well, I had tried.
How long did this go on?
A couple of years. I gained about 70 pounds in a year.
In a year?
Yeah.
You were working.
I was working. Yeah. And I was intermittently like trying these crazy diets. So I would do like the Master Cleanse. And then I would do the Atkins. I would just do these crazy diets
Extreme.
And food was, I had such a good and bad label on food. Like if I eat a cookie,
Black and white.
if I eat a cookie, it means game on. Like I better finish the job and start tomorrow because I had a cookie. I just didn't.
All or nothing.
Yeah, all or nothing. I'm either eating lettuce. Like if someone asked me what my perfect day of food would, it'd be just water, honestly. Like that would be in my head at the time, my perfect ideal day. Yeah, just water. But wait, I don't remember what I was saying.
So how long, you said that went on a couple years. How did you get to a point, I mean, what's this moment? We had the sobriety moment. How did we get to where you turned to this? All right, you've put on 70 pounds, medicating whatever feelings with binge eating, right? That's the story.
Straight up.
So a lot beneath the surface that we still don't, probably at the time you didn't even know what it was, what you were doing, whether it's anxiety or loneliness or feeling different or disconnected or all of the above. So, and I'm sure there's people that feel that way now. How did you get to a moment where things changed?
Well, honestly, I came home and I saw my mom and she gave me this look and it wasn't like, it was like, what happened? Like, she wasn't trying to be mean, but she just like kind of looked at me like
this?
I don't know how to explain the look. It was just like, it occurred to me as sadness. Like, what happened to my little girl?
Like shock.
Yeah.
Not like disapproval, but just like, whoa.
Not like shaming me but just like, what's going on? Because it was written all over my body and my face. Like, I was super sad. And I knew something kind of made me realize, like, if I don't do something about this, I'm going to drink again because I am so uncomfortable in my body. Like, it was physically painful to be in that body. I was not a big kid, so it wasn't like I'd always been overweight. This was a new experience. And I had felt massive self-consciousness, but that was self-consciousness like 60 pounds lighter. So imagine adding that, and it was just like this total mind F of like massive self-consciousness and uncomfortability. And so I tried one more crash diet. It was this HCG diet where you eat 500 calories a day and you take a hormone.
Oh, you did that?
I did it for 40 days. And I lost all the weight.
Probably worked.
Not all the weight. I lost 40 pounds.
In 30 days?
In 40 days. It was like a pound a day.
40 pounds in 40 days.
And then I gained it all back in 2 weeks.
Oh my God. I want to give you a high five, but I'm just like, that is the roller coaster of diets.
And I hit. That was the bottom. That was like waking up in the snow in 17, or getting picked up from the snow.
Which part? Focus in on that moment.
When I gained all of it back, I remember standing on the scale and I stood there and I looked down at the scale and I was like, this can't be. And it was like I had to surrender, just like I had to surrender to the alcohol. I had to surrender to the food. I had to say, you know what? I don't know what's best for me. This isn't working. And so I reached out to my mentor and I was like, listen, I'm going to either kill myself or drink again. And
were you really suicidal?
I wasn't like, I'm going to do this, but it was like
You
definitely.
were at your
I was at
wit's
the point.
end, and
Yeah, it was like I mean, like
that was
a
the
drastic
moment.
measure is going to be taken at this
That was
point.
the moment. You were ready. You were ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
The real stuff.
Totally. It was crazy. So then she had me write down my food every day and send it in. That's what I did.
And then what happened? So that's the moment.
Yeah.
And from there afterwards, what changed? Because I've heard a story up until this point of yo-yo diets and the latest whatever and losing weight and gaining weight. But you're saying now from here, something changed. And you were on a better, a healthier trajectory that was no longer this. So you started writing stuff down, but...
Honesty, again. It was the honesty. It was being honest with someone about what was really going on. So me turning my food over to her wasn't like because she was a nutritionist. It was because I was being honest.
Like accountability.
It was just like, this is what I ate and it means nothing about who I am as a person. So...
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you wrote down what you were eating, and sometimes were you still writing down cakes?
It was interesting in the beginning. It was very much like protein shake for breakfast, and then.
But you weren't lying.
No, I wasn't lying. I was rigorous honesty, no matter what. I wrote it down, so it was very like, whatever. Eggs and toast for breakfast, protein shake after workout, 4 packs of Skittles, tilapia and asparagus, and then it was like, 2 pints of Haagen-Dazs, broccoli and spinach, and it just kept getting less and less. So then it was 3 packs of Skittles. And then it was 2 packs of Skittles. And it was just me sending the food that helped me.
And did she say much back?
Perfect food. Every time.
Total acceptance.
You're like, what?
I didn't expect that to be the response. That's true.
Did you throw up? No. Perfect food.
Wow.
So there were times.
And that's what you needed.
Yeah, I needed, because I needed
to
love. I needed to not feel judged because I was beating the shit out of myself.
But you needed the accountability, but
Yeah.
not.
And not the judgment.
How long did it take for you to go from 4 packs of Skittles and 2 pints of ice cream to maybe some Skittles here and there and some ice cream when you feel like it? Months? Years?
I think that it's like been kind of like this, up and down. The intensity and duration of binges is night and day. Like a binge now would be like, oh, I ate too many berries. Like before, where it's like I feel the...
I don't want to say we need to get you back to a real binge, but too many berries is not a binge.
It's not, but it's not. It's interesting because now it's more about the compulsive behavior
Now you're focusing
than it is
on-
about the food. Like you kind of start to realize that it's not about...
You have an awareness where you can see what's working, the wheels that are turning within you and how it's going on, and that's what you can focus on.
Exactly. Like it's like, oh, I'm stressed and I have to write this kind of stressful thing. Oh, so interesting that I would end up in front of my refrigerator. Like I just start, I start to notice, but it's like I open the refrigerator and I laugh at myself now versus like take the action.
So give me some more specific behaviors. You know, so you're writing down what you're eating. Were you on a program? Were you doing, like, how did you go from binging all this food, besides just writing stuff down to her, to eating healthier? I'm assuming you ate healthier and you lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, I had always been interested in nutrition and fitness and all of that stuff. So I had a lot of knowledge about what I should eat. But also, again, like I looked back at my old food journals. I found some old YouTube videos of when I was first starting my journey. And
I want to get my hands on those.
yeah, they're epic. It's incredible, actually, which I was going to make a YouTube and I never did. I should have. But
Okay.
I know, but it's just so interesting because I saw the food journals and I was like, oh, I was talking on camera and I was like, oh, I had a bad day and I'd eaten like 1,800 calories. And so my perception when I first started the journey was that was warped. Yeah, I thought it was like, I thought I should be eating 1,100 calories or 1,000 calories. The 1,800 was a binge day for me at that time when I first started. So that was really interesting.
You were starving yourself in the beginning.
Yeah. And so then
That's what you thought was normal.
Yes. And then as I got more knowledge, it was really helpful because I started to up my calories, and I realized, oh, I don't binge when I'm eating an appropriate amount of food.
Fascinating what happens when you are eating enough food and it's good quality food.
Yeah.
You know, that you're not hungry, you don't have the cravings, you're less likely to do it. You actually feel better, your mood is better, you have more energy, all of this stuff. Counter to I think what most the culture, people think you have to eat salads and constantly be in a deficit.
Yeah, which I didn't know.
Give me how long has it been since that moment? How long ago was that? 10 years?
I think it's been about 8.
So you lost 70 pounds. Did you lose 70 pounds over the first 2 or 3 years?
It took a year.
So you lost 70 pounds in a year. I want to know kind of what you did to do that. But then, since then, I want to know what you've learned, in 2 minutes or less. If you could, I'm kidding. If you could, but you know what I mean? Because it's ongoing, right?
Oh, yeah. You saw.
Because now, where we're at right now, just to jump for a second, because to get there is, you're into bodybuilding, and you're doing a show in 2.5 weeks. So the way that you eat now, is, and you've done a show before, what you eat now is very much different. You did a slower cut to lose kind of fat, more moderate, which is different from how you did in the beginning, where you would cut crazy and then you'd put it back on. And I want to talk about that for a second, but I want to know, how did you lose 70 pounds in a year?
I think the first thing was the honesty. I know I keep coming back to that, but it's like I can't tell you how freeing it was to finally tell someone what was going on. So the honesty, I didn't, yeah. It's just so helpful.
Judgment, the love.
Yeah. So honesty, and then just identifying. The one thing really helpful that she had me do was identify my triggers. So
Triggers to binge eat, or triggers to eat more. Okay.
So like I don't eat Skittles anymore.
Because that's a trigger.
It's a trigger, but I can have enlightened ice cream, and I'm not triggered. There's certain foods that I don't.
Enlightened ice cream?
Yeah, there's a specific brand of ice cream I can have, and there's no trigger for me.
Oh, okay.
There's certain foods that just don't work for me, and I used to think that there was I made myself wrong for that, but now I just realize that's just how I am. It's just like with alcohol.
So your triggers include certain foods. Are there situations or stress or whatever that you're also mindful of that you kind of manage those triggers?
Yeah, stress and anxiety. Shocking. Anxiety.
Some themes throughout our interview.
Yeah.
You're consistent.
Anxiety is definitely a big trigger for me.
So what do you do instead of binge eat when you feel anxious?
Go for a walk.
What else?
I write a lot.
Yeah.
I like to write down. And then sometimes just taking a deep breath and going, right here, right now.
How about this? Do you do this?
Oh, yeah, working out. I mean, that's like, that's like my daily medication for sure. Exercise. And then honestly, it is baffling how much diet plays a part in my anxiety levels.
How you feel.
It is crazy. I mean, taking the self-care when I'm eating whole, real, nutrient-dense foods, and it's not just because my body looks a specific way because I'm eating a specific way. It is like I feel emotionally more grounded when I'm eating foods that are good for me.
What would you tell you in that 70-pound spot, ready to make a change but hasn't lost any of the weight? What would you focus on? What do you tell these people? Because you're a coach now.
Yeah. The first thing I say is hydration is a huge one, because a lot of times that we think that we're hungry, but we're just thirsty. And then eating real whole food, again, I'll say that 4,000 times.
Good.
And make your food colorful, because we get in these black and white thinkings where we're like, I can only eat asparagus and tilapia and that's it, or else I'm not healthy. And it's like, no, there's these beautiful things called bell peppers and or like asparagus, arugula, and if you want to eat a certain food, as long as it's not a triggering food for you, then have it in moderation. But it doesn't have to be so black and white.
Avoid that all or nothing mentality.
Yeah. And just be kind to yourself.
Well, yeah, and so then I was going to say, so get a little deeper kind of beneath, that's the behavior.
Yeah.
What do you suggest for people who are at the beginning like that in terms of self-love or identifying underlying issues?
God, that's like a whole, that's a whole long thing.
In 90 seconds or less, please, miss.
I think First of all, like find someone that you can get honest with. Find someone that you can get, yes, and someone that you can be really truthful and that you can tell what's really going on, because there's what's going on and then there's what's really going on.
Deeper level.
And I think so many times we like really want to look good and we want everyone to think that we have it together, and so we leave out the parts that feel like our shadow side, or the side that's a little darker or scarier to share, that's really vulnerable. We don't share that stuff because we want to appear like everything's together. But like, the best thing I've ever heard is, do you want to save your face or do you want to save your ass? And like, I want to save my ass. I don't want to save my face. Like, I don't want to just look like everything's good and not have everything be good. And so again, it goes back to that, like, find someone that you can be honest with and open with, and then like be willing to do the work and look at the stuff that's like a little bit not sexy. Like, there's stuff that's hard to look at. But the more that you can either go through it, or you're going to keep hitting that wall and you're going to keep doing the behaviors, because those behaviors don't change unless you change internally. For most people.
Where are you at now with all of this? I mean, you said this has been 8 years. You've tried different things. You've done some diets. You've competed. You know, like, where are you at now? What have you learned from all this?
That everything is always working out for me and for everyone.
Like a trust and a faith.
Yeah. And that I think that you can have freedom with food if you do the work. But if you don't do the work, the freedom seems to go away. And I mean like the internal work. Like, if I don't really deal with whatever the root of the anxiety is, or the stress levels, if I don't deal with that stuff, for me, again, I'm going to always go back to the food. Because I don't have the alcohol anymore. And food, it's a lot more socially acceptable to overeat than it is to blackout drink.
Is it still, wait a minute.
That's...
You flipped that.
No, I know. But when okay, so like,
I was listening.
I know. No, I know. I'm trying to, as I said that, I was like, okay, I need to reiterate this. I don't get in trouble for overeating. It's not as sexy, like on a addiction scale.
I get it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
That's bad joke.
Okay, so I'll summarize this stuff, because I've watched you do this stuff in the gym when you compete. There were times where you would lift a lot of weights, cut back on cardio. So there's been times where you lifted, 6 days a week, and maybe did cardio, I don't know, every other day or something when you were bulking.
Yeah.
And then you would eat more calories, a ton of protein, trying to put on muscle, you put on a little fat. And then before a competition, you'd lift a ton every 6 days a week. You do cardio every day. How much cardio were you doing at one point? 45 minutes maybe a day when you were cutting before
the last show?
I'm trying to contrast like your last show where you bulked for a while and then you cut a couple months, 3 months beforehand to try to lose fat in a short period of time so that you looked good enough, so that you looked as good as you could for the show. And now you've taken a different approach to that.
Yeah, the first time I did a show, it was, first of all, the energy behind it was very different. Like, I was doing it as a diet. I wasn't doing it as a sport. I was like, I was
using it to get skinnier.
Yes, oh, for sure. I was like, well, this will force me to follow it, because I still hadn't had my breakthrough that I've had now with food. Like, I still didn't have the freedom yet. And now...
About the freedom. I want
like,
freedom.
There's no, like... I don't know. It's like a... What?
It's like mastery.
Yeah, I just like don't really like, it doesn't matter what phase my body's in now. Whether I'm in a bulking phase or a cutting phase, like, it's not a big deal anymore, where it used to be so much of a contrast.
I don't get it.
I know. I don't know how to explain it.
What are you eating? What do you eat these days? How many calories? What are your macros? How much are you lifting?
I'm lifting 6 days a week.
For
35.
an hour?
Yeah. With a psycho Russian man, or Lithuanian man named Roland. Love you, Roland. And doing about 35 minutes of cardio 5 days a week. I probably do more than that, to be honest, because I like biking to the gym and stuff.
So like an hour and a half a day between lifting and cardio.
Yeah. Drinking.
Do you have to limit that, or is that about right? If you did, would you do more, or are you happy at that?
I'm happy at that. No, it feels good, especially for the amount of calories I'm taking in. If I was to be doing hours and hours of cardio, it's like, at some point,
Starving.
yeah, I'd just be too hungry.
This has been good. Should we talk about anything else? Are there things we haven't brought up that you want to mention? You're a coach.
Yeah.
Now. Mm-hmm. Tell me about some of the things that you just told me a little bit ago about. People will message you and they'll say they've lost weight and they cheer for you and they.
Oh my gosh, social media. You know, I people hate on social media and how much of like negativity there is, but it's really how much focus you put on that. But it's been such a helpful tool for me. People are so nice.
In your own journey to help you and inspire and support you to carrying on.
Totally, yes. And then also being able to support other people. It's really fun. Like social media can be really fun as far as being, you know, a friend or something on social media and feeling a part of something. But random people will message me all the time and be like, oh my God, I started my fitness journey 4 years ago from a post that you did and I've lost, 50 pounds or whatever. And it's really cool. It just gives you that like sense of purpose and that you went through whatever you went through in order to help other people.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like what is your purpose? What is your mission? What's your big why?
Oh, my big why. I just don't want women to suffer. I mean, I don't want anyone to suffer, but I obviously have a heart for women. Mm-hmm. I think that there's so much cultural pressure for us to look a certain way, and we go to extreme measures to do so, whether it's surgery or detox diets or drinking this or taking that. And I just want to help women feel empowered. Yeah. And help them feel like they have control over their own body and how they feel about themselves, because there's just a lot of pressure.
Are there, suppose we had a male audience watching this, are there things guys can do to support that for women? Do you think about that much?
Yeah, yes and no. I think that, let me think about that actually.
It's not a loaded question.
Yeah. Actually, this is a good thing. What would really be helpful, I think, is if men complimented women for things other than their body. So instead of saying, oh, your body's so nice, like, what about your energy's really good? Or your hair looks nice. Or like, not even just hair, like, you have a good positive vibe, or whatever it is, that's something that's not just like, damn, your ass looks good. It's like, great.
I'm
like,
sorry
thanks.
for how I greeted you when you came in.
No, but it's like, it's interesting because it's hard because like so like I'm 32 and I'm like, so who am I going to be? Like my body's going to go away. Yeah. And if I am only this body, if that's all I'm worth.
Who are you?
Who am I? Right. Then what? So for me, that's also why I'm like...
That's an identity crisis brewing is what that is.
Especially if you work in the fitness industry. It's like, you're supposed to look a certain way. And so, I think commenting and complimenting on something...
Really like your energy.
But seriously, if you want to get a girl, tell her how she has good energy.
Oh, tell her she has good energy. Are we, everybody hearing that one?
But it's like,
Not that your ass isn't great, but I really like that energy. I'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so you get to do, this is a thing.
Okay, what am I going to do?
You just close the show out. You can summarize. You can...
I'm going to say a good somersault.
You can do whatever you want to do to close the big bad Dr. Burchett show where life... You can call it whatever you want.
I want to call you Dr. Burchett.
Life can change in a moment. And we're done here. Carbone's going to take it home.
Wait, no. Thanks for watching and tune in next week.
Thank you for tuning in to...
The change for Dr. Burchett, I don't know.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Can Change in a Moment with Brittney Carbone today.
That's your cadence. That's the word.
There will be another episode next week. Subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you then. The show notes will be available at drlarry.com, DOCTOR. We'll see you next time.
And it's like these moments, it's just like these moments can change your whole life if you're not aware. What, is that the name of the show?
That's the name of the show!
Oh, done here. Good work, everyone.